What's up, guys? Thank you for joining us again on this week's Table Talk. We've had a lot of fun doing these, and it's really fun for us to get our ideas out on the table and just get some thoughts out to share with you guys. Also, thanks to all the people who have liked, shared, and subscribed or commented. We really appreciate that. And this week, something that a lot of people talk about, all the internet gurus and all these things, they talk about it all the time. But one thing we wanted to discuss is our morning routine. And so the reason is because honestly, the morning routine that Brent's got his morning routine, I've got my morning routine, but these routines that we set ourselves up with at the beginning of the day have done a lot to help me, get my mindset right to succeed. And, we're going to go through like what each one of us does, but also just kind of talk about, why do you think a morning routine is so important? Like, other than it starting your day off right, what are some other attributes that make it important for you?
Well, I think it's so critical to get in a routine. And kind of what made us want to talk about this is we're doing reviews with some of our guys at work. And when we're trying to help them get as good as they can possibly get, we're really trying to dissect what they're doing when they start their day, because it's been so critical to me. And to answer your question, I feel off when I don't do it now. It's such a habit, and it literally brings so much good to my life. If I don't do my morning routine, I really feel it throughout my day. So it's been critical to what little success that I do have is having that consistent thing that I do every morning. And like you said, yours is a little different than mine, but it's literally just setting yourself up for success in the day.
Yeah, and it creates a lot of momentum. Like when you wake up in the morning and you automatically start doing things that entice self-care, or you taking care of things that you need to take care of, it really does build a big momentum for the rest of the day. Sometimes we joke with each other, but it'll be like 10 a.m. and I'll say, we've done more than 95% of people I know. Yeah. And it's just because we take that time and kind of wake up early and start being intentional as soon as we get out of bed. And I'm here to tell you that even if you don't have a set morning routine that's from 7 to 8, I'm doing this, 8 to 9, I'm doing this, you still have a morning routine, whether you like it or not. Either you're the guy that gets up at 7:45, snoozes, brushes his teeth out the door at 8, or you're waking up at 5 and doing something, or maybe 6. There's a medium in between that too, but each person's different, and whether you like it or not, you're a part of a routine. So,
and for me, I was that guy for so many years that was get as much sleep as I possibly can, wake up and get out the door at the last minute possible to be at wherever I got to go on time. There was no really science to the madness. It was just get up out of bed and get to wherever I got to go. And so many people that I listen to, because like we said, we've been listening and consuming so much content in our professional life. Just about every high level person is telling you that they have a morning routine and telling you that that is critical to their success. So success leaves clues, as we always said. So I've tried it. I tried it, and it literally, I couldn't agree more with them. And it's been so true in my life. So let's really get into the nitty gritty of kind of what we do. And then, obviously find out what works for you, but you just got to be doing something. You can't, if you want to be super successful, there's probably people who are successful that just wake up out of bed and go do stuff, but I think it's few and far between, I would say. But for me, it's critical for me to get up 3 to 4 hours before I got to get out the door. So for me, my phone is on set for 5:30, and I put my phone in my bathroom because I was guilty of being that snooze guy. I would snooze, it's always set for 5:30, but I would snooze it, then I would snooze it, then I would snooze it. Next thing you know, it's 7 o'clock and I've missed half my morning routine. So I started, Ryan Pineda said he puts his in his bathroom. That resonated with me. So I started doing that, and it's helped me get up early. So what do I do when I get up early? First of all, quit snoozing. Quit snoozing. It just ruins your momentum. You're already kind of failing is how I feel when I snooze. But then when I get up, I instantly, for me, start reading my Bible. I dive into the Word, and I really just look for Him to kind of show me what I need for the day. And we're luckily going through some stuff at church that's kind of really intentional about what we're studying that day. And I know you kind of start with the Bible too. So how does that work in your life?
Absolutely. So I want to just say that, morning routine and all that, hitting the snooze button, all of this is just another form of habit. Yeah. And luckily our brain is wired to where, if you do something over and over, you're basically saying yes to that habit and solidifying it in your mind. But if you quit doing a habit, you can change it. It might take, 6 weeks, or they say 60 days or whatever. It may take some time, but you can change the snooze habit. Because honestly, if you ask my wife right now what our habit was like, we have a 4-month-old, and I'm pretty sure I pressed snooze 6 times this week. So there's times where I am perfect and never hit snooze, and there are also times where I hit it, you know? So just don't get too hard on yourself when it comes to perfection. I just want to say that. And another thing is, like, we read all these routines online. Like, there was one I read the other day. It was like Mark Wahlberg's routine. He gets up at 2:30 a.m. and eats at like 4 and stuff. And I'm just saying, find what works for you. Do not think that you need to be Mark Wahlberg. Because my question to you is, like, are you needing to act in a movie? Do you need to go play a Philadelphia Eagles wide receiver this weekend in a movie? No.
He's also trying to be a scratch golfer, do all these Whataburger.
I didn't even know that. I just like the actor. But all I'm saying is, find what works for you. Now, as far as my morning, I also have solidified 5:30 a.m. as my wake-up time, and it's really just because if I wake up later, I don't have time to do the things I need to do before I have to be the places I need to be. And so 5:30 is that time for me that has really worked. Now, I don't know if, you might think it's weird, whatever, but as soon as I wake up in the morning, before I go to the gym, before I read anything, I jump in the shower. The shower is what like invigorates and revitalizes me in the morning, because I'm like, I got like the crust in the eye, all that crap going on. I can't read a book when I got all that. So I hop in the shower, and then once I get out, I typically spend my time with God. And that time, man, is so purposeful. And the reason is because it starts my habit of thinking positive thoughts first thing in the morning. No matter what I'm reading, it's like, hey, here's a little scripture that's going to maybe change the way you think or think something positive today. And that's why it's so important. I've done it. I tell people all the time that I talk to, mentor, friends with, everything. I've done the routine without putting the Bible first thing in the morning and doing it at like 7 p.m. And I've done it with it first thing in the morning. It always feels better first thing in the morning for me.
And I think it's the priority. It's almost like a lot of times our priorities can get out of line. So for me personally, starting my day in the Word, obviously I do shower as well. I love hitting the shower first thing, waking up. Then I get me a cup of coffee always. I need to probably work on that. But I love coffee, and I just love reading my Bible. But what it does is I think it sets the standard for my day, but it also shows what my priority is, because ultimately that is my priority, is what does God have for me to do today. And
honestly, like at the end of the day, if you have this whole morning routine drawn out, but all you're able to hit that day is the spiritual side of it, that is the reading, I honestly feel like you've put yourself in the best spot for success that day, even if you miss all the other stuff.
Correct.
But for me personally, I wake up, shower, I read the Bible for a minute, and then I'll typically, like this is my own personal life, but I let my dogs out, and then as soon as I'm done with that, I hop in my truck and I drive to the gym. I get to the gym at 7 a.m. I like to get there at 7 because honestly, I'm not into traffic at 8 a.m. The traffic sucks worse in our area at 8 a.m. So I just knock it out at 7. And then when I get done with that, I either go and start meetings, or I eat and then start the meetings, or I eat and then read something, then go to a meeting. It does change on a day-to-day basis depending on where I need to be and all that. But the same thing, I hit that spiritual, then that physical side every morning. And then sometimes with those, I also read a book or listen to a podcast during it. So
while you're working out, a lot of times while working out, for me, even I have people that I work out with, and we are all listening to something different instead of just talking about, what LeBron did tonight. It's, we might have a minute about LeBron, and then I'm diving in because I like to be productive. And with our schedule, all the things that we're trying to balance, you really do have to look for ways to be productive with your time. That's the biggest thing. You have to be intentional. You have to be intentional. So I love, very similar to his morning routine, I get to the gym at 8. I hit a little bit of traffic getting there, but I just love to have that extra hour to read another book, because I'm reading 3 books most mornings. I'm journaling. I'm doing these things. And so when I get to the gym, I pop in some sort of content that I'm consuming while I'm working out, and I knock out 2 birds with one stone. And that's been so critical to my success. Even going back to my days when I was just doing real estate, I listened to the same podcast just about every day for about 4 years, trying to get better at real estate, and it helped me get better at real estate. That's what's so funny, is when you're intentional with your time, you'll start seeing the fruits of that effort. It happens. It's crazy.
And once you start digging into a little bit of success, you're going to start finding that these 168 hours per week that we all have, if you don't become intentional with them, they're going to slip away fast over and over and over. And that's what I finally realized that, in the past 2 years with all the stuff we're trying to balance. I've been a guy that gets up and goes to the gym and gets in an eating routine and all that for years, but I have never felt my time slip away the way I do now that we have all the things that we have going on. And so that's why it's so crucial for me to be scheduled and intentional with it. Or else, you can have one meeting that turns in, you thought it was 1 hour. Well, now it's 3 hours, and there goes half your day that you were supposed to be at work.
Yeah.
But going back to this all starts with our morning routine. The morning routine is what sets everything in flow for me.
Correct.
And there's books on it. There's people that talk about it all the time. But at the end of the day, you're going to have to find what works for you.
Correct.
And the only thing we can do is give pointers, like the waking up 3 hours or 4 hours before you have to be somewhere. That's huge for me. Because back in the day, I used to get somewhere and I would need to use my brain. Well, guess what? The only thing that got me going on the way to work was the water or Dr. Pepper I chugged on the way there.
And Morgan Wallen.
And so maybe back in, that was when we were chain smoking,
Yeah.
That song. But anyways, the only thing that got me going was a little bit of water on the way to work. And I can tell you that now I am so much more prepared. It's like your brother said in that podcast. It's not just about showing up. It's about showing up prepared.
Yes.
And when you get this morning routine, you can show up prepared guaranteed every day. And it builds your confidence as you get in these habits.
It's so true. Because I think a lot of times you can feel like you're just going through the motions. A lot of days it's like Groundhog Day. I hope y'all have seen that movie. It's hilarious. But a lot of days can feel like that. But I want my Groundhog Day to be so scheduled and routine that I'm performing at my highest level possible. So this morning routine literally is probably one of the most important things that has attributed to any of my success, is that consistent effort every single morning. Because what I found is that really success is consistency. If you want to be successful in anything that you're doing, you're going to have to be consistent. Whether that's playing baseball, whether that's being a artist, whether that's getting into whatever it is, you're gonna have to be consistent. So if I start my day with a consistent habit that I do every single day with the intention to get me better, with the intention to grow my brain essentially to get better, if I start my day every day with that, think about if you did that for 5 years. Think about if you did that for 10 years. Oh wow, now you're doing that every single day for your whole life. You're just gonna be a better version of yourself. It's just proven.
And he said a key word there. He talked about improvement. At the end of the day, if you go to work after this morning routine and have the worst day of your life, you know that in the morning you took time to get better that day. You know that no matter what happens the rest of the day, you've taken care of yourself for an improvement.
Yes.
Another thing is that when it comes to your morning routine and you're talking about building up, momentum, think about this. Some people I know don't eat breakfast. Brent doesn't eat breakfast. He fasts for personal, physical reasons.
Intermittent fasting, baby.
The intermittent fasting gives him energy. If I didn't eat, I'd feel like throwing up at 10 a.m. I don't know why. But
he weighs about $140, full disclosure, but not really.
We're 160 now.
160.
160, man. Yeah. But
good problem to have. I could be an offensive lineman if I ate as much as Alex did. So it's just, again, it goes back to what works for you, period.
Yeah. So why do we do this? We do this because we found success in it for our lives. We do this because, that momentum carries me all into the next activity and into the next day. And it really, at the end of the day, I want to reflect on what did I do right that day? What can I change that day? And if I find consistency in this, I know that I will show success down the road.
And talking about the weight and stuff, this is just something that just hit my heart when we were talking about that. I truly was overweight at a point in my life just a couple years ago. Literally, I got up to almost 260 pounds. Now I'm walking around at 205. I got down to 185 though, and people started worrying about if I was sick. But I was in that phase of just bad habit after bad habit. And this was really before I had this morning routine figured out. I would wake up whenever I woke up and just read my Bible and then probably go to Martin's and get a biscuit. Honestly.
And the next thing you know, it's 12 p.m.
And the next thing you know, you're 260 pounds. And you're like, what the heck happened? So I just want to kind of just put this out there for everybody that no matter where you're at with this, Alex said it perfectly earlier, we're not asking you to be perfect in this. It's just starting somewhere, just starting to make that improvement. And then you'll start to see things, look different, things feel different, and you'll start to find that success, and it becomes addictive.
Oh, it does.
It really becomes addictive.
And it starts to feel like you had mentioned earlier, it feels like your day's off when you're not doing these things. Mm-hmm. And I'm here to tell you guys, our society puts the pressure on, you need to do it this way, this way, this way. All I have to say is that your body is different than any other person's body. Your mind works different than any person's mind. There are obvious things that can take place to where you can improve daily, whether it's, if you're reading a book versus not reading a book, you're going to take that information in and get better. All I'm trying to say is that no matter what works for us, take something that works for you. Just like we mentioned on the episode where we talked physical, mental, and spiritual. If you can get better physically, mentally, and spiritually every day, first thing in the morning through your routine, you're going to feel better than you did before. It's just
Yep.
the truth.
And you're going to get to places quicker. Last thing I'll say, and I may have said it on here before, but I love Jim Rohn, and he always says, if you'll work harder on yourself than you do your job, you're starting to see success. And that's so true. Like I found that to be true, that morning routine, I get up before my phone's blowing up. I get up before the emails are rolling in. I get up before the fires need to be put out. And that's me time. A lot of times my phone's on do not disturb because I truly look forward to that time that I just get to spend with my maker. And also I get to, grow and just become a better person, a better version. And one thing that I'm doing, we talked to an employee today, is reading another form of just some sort of content. What are you consuming? That was the question that I asked him. So whatever your dreams are, whatever you're trying to do in life, if you're not consuming information that helps you get to that point, what are you doing? Because we live in the best time ever for you to just consume free information that will literally show you exactly what you need to do to be successful. There's people that are just giving it away.
There's an exponential growth chart, and it's literally, it's the information with the experience is going to equal exponential growth to you. And another thing I have to say about this topic is, at the end of the day, if you're not reading or journaling or doing something, when you go throughout a day, people are always talking to you. Well, you're never talking to your own brain about yourself. And when you read a book or you journal something, that is you getting the time to ask you the questions that you're going to answer. Nobody ever comes up to you at the end of a day, Brent, and says, hey man, did you stick to your morning routine and how'd you do on it? You have to have those thoughts and say, hey, what did I do today to get better? What did I do today to fix my habits? If you journal, you get to ask yourself, how am I feeling? Nobody's going to come up to you and say, how are you feeling today? Unless you pay a therapist, nobody's coming to say that, man. It's up to you to ask yourself, to get yourself to grow past what you're going through.
That's so good.
And so I encourage the information.
I think that leads to what you're saying, just hit a note of like that meditation time as well. Because we talked about that this morning, and we both meditate a little differently, but we both have times where sometimes you just got to turn off the noise, man.
Absolutely.
And you just really got to think about, what's going on in your life and really set aside time to where you block that all off. So we both have that in our morning routine as well.
My meditation time is actually in the evening. I do my meditation time at around, it's usually between 6:30 and 7:30, but it's typically when I get done. That meditation time is for me to close my eyes and just think, and sometimes talk out loud, but just think about what I did that day. What could I improve? How did this go? Was it because this person was here? We got a lot of moving parts. So I think about even the words I say sometimes. Like if I would have said this word in this scenario, and that meditation time is how I get a lot of momentum to go into the next day and do it all again.
That's good. That's good. And that goes back to every single person's different. Every single person's got to find their routine. But if you're not doing anything, if you're that person who just wakes up, gets out the door, you're probably pretty stressed. You're probably not happy with some things that are going on in your life. So just try this, just give it like a 2-week period where you wake up, and you don't have to start waking up at 4 a.m. if you normally get up at 8, like slowly.
Just take it one step at a time.
Exactly. But the only reason that we're coming to you to talk about this today is because from some meetings with employees, we both, I think, realized how critical our morning routine has been to our success. So we just want to share it with the world, man, because ultimately we just want y'all to all feel what we're feeling, feel the joy that it comes.
Success doesn't have to always be financial. There are hundreds of mental successes that I'm having just from doing these behaviors every day. It's not just financial, it's physical and mental as well, and spiritual.
And just your relationships. Like my relationship with my wife's better because of what I do in the morning.
Yeah.
It truly, that sounds crazy, but it really
After you take time to meditate on what you're grateful for in the morning, it's a lot easier to go talk to the people that surround you versus just getting out of bed, drinking a water, and talking to them after 10 minutes. You haven't even had time to think about yourself.
Correct.
So, well, guys, we always appreciate you tuning in. And if you enjoyed this message on our morning routines, give us a comment, a like, or a share. Thank y'all.
Thank y'all. Appreciate it.